Hi, I'm Shane from Quick Attach. Today we're going to talk about the features and benefits of our Tilt-Attach. Our Tilt-Attach fits neatly between the mounting plate of the Bobcat and the mounting plate of your attachment. It's under 12 inches deep and weighs 450 pounds. The way you mount the Tilt-Attach is to first attach it to the skid steer loader mounting plate. If you have the auxiliary kit, you should then attach the Approach your attachment with the levers in the up position. Once the mounting plate is fully seated, you just have to get out and latch them. Our Tilt-Attach allows you to angle an attachment up to 17 degrees right or left. This is used for cutting swales and ditches with a bucket. And it's also handy for combo buckets or grapples if you have to grab something that's on uneven terrain. Another key feature that separates our Tilt-Attach from some of the others is that we use 2 cylinders to handle the tilting action. The reason this is important is because, one, it gives you higher force, so you're able to use the base side of the cylinder piston for the force side when you're actually tilting. We demonstrated this when we had the concrete block, and we also lifted up the front of the skid steer just by using the tilt action. The other reason it's important is because it gives you a more precise action. When you're tilting the Tilt-Attach, you want it to be even, you want it to be consistent in speed, and 2 cylinders does that better than 1. So a main feature that we have on our Tilt-Attach and what makes it a premium product is that we use wear plastic in all the key wear areas. So on the main pivot pin here, where we're using a 5-inch steel pin for strength, we have that lined with a plastic bushing to handle the radial loads. And we have this ring on the end to handle the thrust loads. On the outer surface, we also have wear plastic here between the 2 halves, and this large plate here on the back side, which will handle all the main pushing forces. The reason this is important is because it gives you a long life for this attachment, but also these areas don't need to be greased. They're grease-free, so if these ever do wear out, they're very easy to replace. I wanted to show that on our example here today, we have this mounted on a T770. Whenever you use a hydraulic attachment, obviously you want to be careful about the hose routing. Because this attachment is so compact, the hose routing even becomes more critical. We've run the hoses down through the hose guides that are on the back side of the Tilt-Attach and through the D-ring that Bobcat supplies for their Bobcat skid steer loader. We're also using 90-degree couplers on this instance. It may vary depending on the brand and model of skid steer loader, how you make this work, but you want to be careful and make sure that you route it correctly so that you have the full range of motion when you hook up to your attachment. The main lifting ribs are made up of 3/8-inch plate steel. The main mounting plate is made up of 3/8-inch grade 80, and the outer flange plates are also made up of grade 80 steel. This is important because on these unsupported areas out here, you need really strong steel to handle that area so it doesn't bend. Okay, so we did our first attempt at cutting a swale here. The area that we're at is almost completely clay, very little dark soil mixed in with it, and we haven't had any rain here this spring, so it was really hard to dig into. It was really hard. Not much traction, couldn't get much push out of it, but we were able to get the startings of a swale. You kind of get the idea of what it looks like when you cut the angle. After you get your tracks into the swale, you want to back off on the angle a little bit so that you run a consistent angle. The best way to cut a swale is to not try to do it all in one step. So, take a few gradual cuts, especially if you're cutting a deep swale. It's better to take it in a few steps. Don't try to do it all at once. It's just easier to control that way and make it more consistent. So our Tilt-Attach today is equipped with the optional attachment control kit. What this allows you to do is mount attachments that have cylinders on them, such as grapples and combo buckets. This gives you the ability to use that hydraulic attachment even though you need one function to run your Tilt-Attach. So the way this is accomplished is by using a diverter valve like this. With the attachment control harness, when you energize the coil, you can get 2 functions. So the primary will actually be your attachment. So we'll show this closer when I get inside the cab, but the primary will be the grapple, let's say, opening and closing. When you energize the coil, the valve will shift and push the oil over to the Tilt-Attach. You'll be able to adjust the angle of that attachment. Okay, so I'm going to give a little rundown on how to operate the Tilt-Attach. It's really quite simple. If you have a standard tilt-attach, which does not have the optional auxiliary kit, all you need to do is hook up your hoses, turn on your hydraulics, and then whatever button you use to run your hydraulics will tilt the tilt-attach. If you have the optional auxiliary kit on, and you have it then attached to a hydraulic combo bucket or grapple, the primary circuit then becomes the attachment that you have attached, because that's what you're going to use more often, the clamping of the grapple or combo bucket. To make it tilt then, what you need through the use of the wire harness that's attached, you need to energize the diverter valve by holding this button here and then going back and actuating your hydraulic circuit while you hold that other button. That'll make the tilt-attach tilt left and right. Okay, so we've done some demonstrations here to try to show the strength of the tilt-attach. We have it mounted to a low pro bucket. We did some heavy digging, some pushing and scraping. We loaded the bucket on its nose and pushed and pulled on it to show you that it can handle that stress of pushing at a right angle that you normally would with a bucket. We did some heavy lifting here. We have some concrete blocks. We lifted the smaller block with some chains. It's 4 feet long, 2 by 2. And if you assume 140 pounds per square foot, per cubic foot, it's actually about 2,200 pounds for that block. This larger block that I'm sitting on here is probably around 3,300 pounds because it's 6 feet long. And that is probably in the vicinity of what the lift capacity is for this T770 machine. So what we're trying to show here is that even though we have a tilt-attach on this machine, you can still use it and still have the confidence in the strength of the tilt-attach to do whatever you need to do with this bucket. Check back as we make more videos just like this. Check out our website or give us a call if you have any questions.